Good morning. Morning, Maria. While we're waiting for everybody to get here, please tell me one rule for writing in academic style. Type it in the chat.
So far, Germany's digital assistant.
Maria, what do you mean by paragraph style? Because you write informal essays also in paragraph style. Can you give me some more information?
Sometimes we use our paragraph style like we don't refer our paragraph as like a paragraph, like we put as a normal phrase, without the space before the word.
Okay, but that would be something that you would also want to use regardless if you're turning in a paper, whether it's informal or formal. You want to have your paragraph indented according to whatever style that you're using. So that's a good practice for both types of writing, informal and formal academic. All right. So we're going to continue talking about academic style today and practicing editing. But let's review what's going on coming up this week. Okay. So as you know, your paper is due tomorrow by midnight. Okay. It should be a clear statement that describes both sides of your issue without taking a position. It should follow academic style. It should be around 4 to 5 pages long and use either block or point-by-point organization. So all of those things that we've talked about over the last few weeks. Okay. Then we're going to start talking about how to persuade people in writing, and you'll have another draft. Now, this draft is due on April 22nd. We will not actually meet for class that day. Classes are canceled because of the academic honors day that they're doing for McKendree, where we honor students and celebrate their achievements. So the draft will be due that day by midnight, but we will not meet for class because they've canceled all classes for the academic honors assembly. I will also post that in the announcements just to remind everyone. So these are the things that are coming up. I'd like you to read the argument chapter. In your subjects and strategies. So read the argument chapter. Thursday. Your book. Because we're going to talk about one of the most powerful things you can do in writing is persuade people to agree with you. And there are some very definite techniques that can help you do that. So we're going to cover the techniques that you can use, the format that works, the language that works. Okay. So let's look at some of the other rules. I've only got Maria giving me an answer here. Come on, guys. What are the other rules? There are things that you're going to remember and edit your paper for before you turn it in tomorrow. In terms of your taking it from your shitty first draft, what kinds of things do you have to remember about word choice, about phrasing? I'll give you a couple minutes to type in the chat. A little bit of a reminder here. Yes. You're going to edit for organization, for clarity. You're going to revise to flesh out with examples, and those are going to be from sources. So you need, remember the rule of three. Generally, it's better to have at least 3 quotes, or not quotes specifically, but 3 sources to support what you're saying.
If I am not making a mistake, you put as a feedback on my draft about this, about the writing style, like academic style. I think you recommend me to use more this style.
Yes, more academic style, but pretty much everyone's going to be going from your first draft. In your first draft, I didn't expect that you would totally stick to academic style because you're writing a shitty first draft, right? But now that you are revising and editing, you're going to look at those things in terms of matching what the requirements are for an academic paper. Okay. And remember, as we talked about, when you introduce a source, you can either quote it, you can paraphrase it, summarize it. Mostly you're going to be paraphrasing. And then you explain in about the same number of words or sentences how it supports what you're saying. So if you say that according many college athletes feel that it's unfair, if like you're a very famous college athlete, they can make a lot of money selling your jerseys, right? Right now, those college athletes don't get any part of the sales. So they can make millions of dollars selling jerseys with your name on it, but you don't get any money from that because you're an amateur, right? So then you would have sources that show and support that amateur athletes often have a lot of money, generate a lot of money, but do not, basically benefit from it. So then you'd say that, and then the sources would show it. Okay. So you maybe quote someone, you maybe give a couple examples of players, right? Some actual numbers if you can find them. So that's how you show what you're telling us, right? Show, don't tell. Okay. So academic writing is formal, clear, precise, focused and structured, well-sourced. Okay. Correct and consistent. It is not personal. Don't include your personal experience unless your instructor specifically asks you to, and that is rare in academic writing. It's not long-winded. It's not emotive. What they mean is not emotional or great. You can be passionate about, a topic if you're persuading us, but you have to be measured. You have to be more academic or more formal when you're doing that. Okay. Exaggeration tends to give you less credibility when you're discussing serious topics. Okay. Formal language, yes, good, Lily. Yeah, you're going to take and use synonyms for all of those words that are less formal. So let's go back to the video that we were working on Thursday when we were practicing. So here's a phrase. A few years ago, the price of property in Japan went down a lot. Okay. How would we edit this for academic style? Let me open up the document here and we'll work on it. Blow it up here. So a few years ago, the price of property in Japan went down a lot. So edit that for me in the academic style and put your edited version in the chat. You can see I've already added a comma where they needed one. How would you improve this to be more academic? So we're talking about it being more precise, using good word choice. You can look up synonyms if you need to. Come on, guys, it's not that long a sentence. Start at the beginning. Ah, very good, Lily. I like that. What you've done with the second part of it. So the price of property has gone to property values, much more concise and formal. And instead of, because we don't want these phrasal verbs went down, decreased, much better. And significantly, right? Better word, much better word. Okay. Excellent revision of this part. And how can we be more precise? Instead of saying a few years ago, what can we say to be more precise about the first part of the sentence? If you saw a few years ago, I mean, that's pretty ambiguous, right? That depending on what the author means, it could be 5 years ago, it could be 10 years ago. So let's just pick a specific time period. Let me put the improved and original version here both. What time period do we want to go for?
5 years ago.
5 years ago? I like it, much more precise. Let's compare the before and after. A few years ago, the price of property in Japan went down a lot. 5 years ago, property values in Japan decreased significantly. You can tell there's a significantly different and more formal tone, better choice of words, editing for clarity and conciseness and specificity. Very good. Let's look and see what they did with it. So they did the same thing. They chose a specific time period after 2013. The Japanese property market and the housing value fell dramatically. So that works as well. There's not one right way to do it. Actually, I prefer Lily's version. I think it was more concise. Let's try another one. Or since 2013, the price of property fell dramatically in Japan. So like they're saying, there's not just one option. Okay. So please put one of your sentences from your paper in the chat and let's work on editing. Actually, what I'd like you guys to do now is take your sentence, give me the before and after and post it, and we'll do a comparison. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes to work on it. And then we'll come back and look at some examples of, so give me a before and after. Take a sentence from your paper, edit it for academic style. Post the before sentence and after sentence in the chat. No, it does not matter which sentence. You can pick any sentence. I mean, you might want to pick one that you think needs some work. But basically all your sentences need to be looked at for academic style. Okay, so you could probably pick just a random sentence. Very good, Lily. This is a much better word here. Very nice. You replace this. Also, efficient use, much better description, much more specific. Editing for academic style. Okay, Julian, let's take a look at this. I actually don't have too much quarrel with definitely downsides, but you could edit it without the emphasis. There are downsides to these types of drugs like infertility or acne, but these are just chances and acne chances. Oh, I see. Yes, this is much clearer. Oh, could we call these side effects? Be a little bit more specific. So there are negative side effects when it comes to these drugs, like infertility or acne, but these are very small possibilities. Yeah. Yeah, that's much more formal and can easily be fixed. But I would call them, instead of downsides, downsides would still work. I just think side effects is a little bit more specific. You want to be precise. Good. This assignment must be submitted in the chat before class ends in order to get your points. We have just over 6 minutes remaining. I think you could come up with a better word for very small to make it even better, Julian, if you think about it. So what if we right click on it? Not very helpful. Let me suggest one. And if we don't like it, we can right click on it. How about minuscule? Minute. I would say either minute or minuscule would probably be your best bets here. You could also say slight. Or unlikely. Okay, Tristan. I think you kind of got a little wordier, which is, I'm glad you did, because that can be one of the dangers. I like sort of the brevity of this first statement and the directness of it. I actually don't think there's a whole lot that needs to be edited in this sentence. So be careful when you're adding formality that you don't add unnecessary words. I would stick with the former version. This is a good word, controversial. You've identified specifically that you're talking about America. Gun control is you know, names the topic. So I'd say go with the former. Don't add words, only add formality and better word choices. Okay, we have about a minute left. If you have not yet posted, I will open up another session and you will have 10 more minutes to submit your posting to receive your points. Okay. So edit your sentences for academic style. Tomorrow we'll start talking about how to persuade people in writing for your next paper. All right, I'm going to end this session and open another one. So the last chance to post your sentence before and after. Okay, see you in a moment.